Good morning. You are all welcome back to Divine Pen Inspirational and Counseling Messages Studio. It's unusual that you used to see us on a live broadcast like this on Sunday, but it has to be due to the service we are rendering to the humanity affairs and with the command and directful from the Almighty God. We have been compelled to sanction another program titled Sunday Special. And today begins the first edition. This Sunday Special will combine everybody, both the Muslim and Christians, including the traditional worshippers. And I believe at the end, the words of exhortation that will be presented to you this morning will serve as a special tonic to neutralize your hearts so as to purify your soul, which will eventually manifested to the members of the public to perceive clearly. My name is Kola Adebisi Bolariwa. If you call me Divine Pen, that is the assembly name. I'm talking to the whole world this morning. Whatsoever you call yourself, if you are an imam, if you are a sheikh, if you are a pastor, let's have few words together. And at the same time, whatsoever you call yourself, whatever the type of degree concerning your line, maybe you are a scholar in Islamic religion, you are a cleric, a clergy, in a pastor, whatsoever you are holding in philosophy of science, in theological study, or in pastoral affairs, or you have the certificate from the concept of Chief Imam Agege Baba Adamu Radiallahu Ta'ala. At least, I believe you're supposed to have few things to pick from today's program, and it is known as Sunday Special, which will be coming up every Sunday, 11 to 11:30. May the blessing, mercy of God be with us throughout today's program. What is the word of exhortation this morning? The word is, who is your God? Who is your God? The religious books, the holy books, the Quran, the Holy Quran, and the Holy Bible, they really discuss a lot about who God is. And I believe when I say, who is your God? To some, it will serve as a moment or a piece of mockery idea to them. Someone, immediately I say, who is your God? Someone perhaps may burst into laughter and saying, what is wrong with this one? But few are at home. Whatsoever you call yourself, whatsoever you might have learned concerning knowledge relating to your religion, I'm asking you this question this morning. Who is your God? We all know that our everlasting infinity. Forever God is in heaven. We all know that. But let me tell you, your God has already chosen someone that will be in position, or let me say a device, or let me say a material, on equipment that will be in position to serve as your God. And this person in particular will eventually complement the work of the Almighty God. As you can see, and as we've been heard, that nobody on this earth could perceive the appearance of the Almighty God physically. We all agreed on that. Even the past strong religious leaders have never told us that they perceive God face to face like this. They will just be saying, we cannot see. God himself, who has put himself in a divinity situation, has now put a device. That is why I'm asking, who is your God? How does your God use this God to monitor you? That is the question that we have to ask ourselves this morning. If you are a man, if you are a pastor, if you are a leader of a traditional group, who is your God? God implemented this God through your heart. It is your heart that complement the effort of the Almighty God to have the knowledge of this God. And whoever on this earth fails to follow this God has failed in front of the Almighty Allah. Even if you spend 48 hours in the mosque doing salat, praying with different Arabic prayers, if you spend 72 hours on the mountain in a church doing prayer, if you are not following the implementation done by the Almighty God to guide you, you are a failure. You are a failure. And who is this God? The God implemented by the Almighty God into your heart is your conscience. My brothers and sisters, my Muslims, Christians, traditional worshippers, everybody throughout the world. What you have just done this morning, what did your conscience tell you before you do it? You call yourself a minister of God? You call yourself a pastor? You call yourself an imam? You call yourself Babawo, or what do you call yourself? I don't care. If you do anything without the guidance of the Almighty God through your conscience, you are a failure. Whether you agree or you do not agree. Your conscience is your monitoring God. It is your Almighty God that implemented it into your heart. The complementary device for your conscience, for that God, is your conscience. Let's ask ourselves, before we do anything, before we put anything into practice, before we modify anything, do you normally ask your conscience? Do you normally follow the terrain of your conscience? Those that become armed robbers today, Don't you know that before they engage in robbing someone's property, the their conscience might have put them into the right direction, but they refuse to follow it. They follow ungodly affairs, which belongs to the satanic world. Our supernatural imam, the chief imam, whatever you want to do, what you have been doing so far, did you follow the terrain of your conscience? Did you follow the terrain of your conscience? My imam, if you fail to follow the terrain of your conscience, you are a failure. In the ministration chapel of God, my pastor, what did your conscience tell you before you take that action? If you fail to follow the right guidance from your conscience, you are nothing but a failure. And anybody, I used to laugh. I used to shake my head when they call some people minister of this, our disease, our referent, our chief imam, our sheikh. I used to laugh when they are recommending a lot of people for a lot of things in the society. These people, are they bound with the thoughts of their conscience? Are they nurtured with the memories from their conscience? Let me ask you a question. Our leaders, I didn't mean that they are being mailed, being guided by their conscience. Do you think they'll be perpetrating a lot of atrocity that has been taking place so far in Nigeria? And this is the question. If you don't have this God, I'm telling you this morning, you will not be regarded as a man of God. People will not recognize you. People may recognize you, but mind you, the Almighty God will never recognize you. People may look at you and say you are a minister of God, but if you are not being guided, you are not being put in position by the thought from your conscience, the Almighty God will never recognize you. If you go and learn the Arabic from Saudi Arabia, you cross to Egypt, from Egypt to Ilorin, from Ilorin to Ibadan, you can cram the whole Quran off, and if you are not being guided by your conscience, you are a failure. If you go to Jerusalem, you collect your philosophy of pastoral affairs, you jump from there to FMM, you establish your ministry in Ibadan here. People have well known you. If you are not being guided by the ministerial thought from your conscience, you are a failure. Whatsoever you call yourself, if you know the in and out of traditional affairs, if you are not being guided by your conscience, you are a failure. It is only when you are being guided by yourself, by your conscience, that the Almighty God will recognize you as one of His ministers. And if you are being recognized by a minister of God, these are the things that you must first take into consideration. If you want your conscience to guide you, there are things that you must take into consideration. One, You neutralize your heart so as to purify your soul. You neutralize. How do you neutralize your heart? A corrupted heart is a corrupted soul, because it is the building up of the soul that will produce the end product of this building up of the heart that will produce the end product of the soul. If your heart is corrupted, your soul is corrupted. So you have nothing to offer the Almighty God. You are a failure. You must guide that. Two, you must reject bad habits, fornications, adultery. You had a lot of things, a lot of news. People are raping 9 years old boy, majorly. Christian clerics, Muslim clerics. At least you find traditional worshippers. The only thing the traditional worshippers are doing is you find them with the skull of a human being. Part of man, they are only looking for money ritual. But majorly, sexually abused characters could be found in the church and mosque this time around. You must reject bad habit. Three, you must be obedient. When you are being guided by your conscience, as the God implemented by the Almighty God in your heart to guide you, you must follow. If He guides you directly, follow it. You must be obedient. And the last one, but not the least, is self-discipline. Before we discipline anybody, before we guide anybody, before we promote anybody, before we torture anybody, discipline yourself. Ask yourself, am I righteous? Am I on the right way? Am I on the right way? Am I doing the right thing? Am I doing what I'm supposed to do? That is the question I will ask you this morning. Who is your God? Let's monitor that area. Let's monitor that site. And I believe you will all agree with me that our conscience is a God implemented into our body by the Almighty God, so as to supervise, to guide, and to monitor us. May the blessing is the manifestation of His power, His guiding angels be with us and protect us. And we shall not have any cause to cry throughout this period of pandemic menace. And I pray for every home. I pray for individual. I pray for every family. I pray for everybody listening to this program. I pray for everybody watching this program, that the Almighty God will guide you and protect you. This is Sunday special. This is Sunday special. It will be coming up every Sunday, 11 to 11:30 a.m. in the morning, every Sunday. It contains word of exhortation from the Almighty God to guide everybody, whatsoever you call yourself. If you are a Christian, a Muslim, a cleric, imam, or whatsoever you call yourself, they are word of exhortation from the ministration of Divine Pen Inspiration and Counseling Messages Studio. May the blessing of God be with us and guide you. And don't forget, by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, don't forget to join us for the Divine Pen Inspiration and Counseling Messages topic, which is 8 to 8:30. That one is Monday to Saturday. There is another program known as The Future Builders. That one is on live. You can watch that on live Facebook, on YouTube also. That one is 5 to 5:30 every evening. It is the future builders. So, and there is another sermon which will come up by 11:30 this morning, 11:30 to 12. That one will come up on live coverage of the Facebook video tube, and it is live coverage, pure religious affairs. May the blessing of God be with us, guide us until we meet tomorrow morning. My name is Kola Debisi Bolaniwa, and I say bye bye until we meet tomorrow. May the blessing of God be with you, guide you.